Hello guys, welcome back to our Anime Explainer. Today is explanation of upcoming episode Throne of Steel based on novel. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. So let's start. At the same time great changes appeared on Xingyu's face. Behind those three shining demon god pillars, a dark golden brilliance was immediately lit brightly. This dark golden brilliance was just too massive, forming a thick light extending over a diameter of more than 5 kilometers. The instant it appeared, the bright sky became dark, the sun disappearing without traces as if shot down. The 100,000 roaring demons felt as if their neck was suddenly cut off, and no sound was left. This scene of noise transforming instantly into silence appeared extremely bizarre. Although the demon soldiers didn't yell any longer, their eyes were filled with an identical blood color. From the smallest dual-bladed demons to the biggest black dragons, all of them without exception emitted an extremely frightening aura. Along with the ascending of that bright pillar, they entered a sort of bloodthirsty state. In front of that enormous dark golden pillar, the group of three gods led by the blazing lion Alossa seemed like an unremarkable gust of wind. Those three kneeled respectfully, facing the enormous dark golden pillar while disregarding the humans. What is that? Too astonishing. This course of events was just too sudden and terrible. The most splendid scenes Long Haochen ever saw were the ones of his father, as well as the chief the alliance Yang Haohan releasing their divine thrones. But compared to the terrible dark golden pillar of light, they were just far too inferior. That dark golden pillar of light quickly covered the whole sky, turning everything around it into darkness. Only the dark golden radiance emitted forward still provided some brightness to this world, and thus, the changes on this dark golden pillar looked all the more distinct. No one could see exactly how enormous that massive dragon's body was. The terrifying pressure it released even caused the sky to sink, twisting unstoppably. What kind of existence is that? Suddenly, bolts after bolts of azure lightning surrounded the dark golden pillar of light, glittering without interruption, and the massive dragon crawling on it started to move rhythmically. Even more spectacular was that the army of 100,000s was immediately immersed into the twisted patterns, unexpectedly disappearing from their line of sight. No, more accurately, they should have become invisible. The heroic assassin Xingyu's face was already completely pale. The fact that his aura alone could make the entire main demon forces invisible, and this enormous dark golden pillar of light confirmed one thing. The thing they were the most unwilling to see. It's him. It's really him. The first ranked of the 72 demon gods and demon emperor, the devil dragon emperor Fengxiu. He went as far as to come here personally. As they heard Xingyu's words, all the officers on the city gate tower became overwhelmed with shock. Xing Lingxin's entire body swayed, and although he gritted his teeth, trying to contain his emotions, his two forcefully clenched hands were trembling. The first demon god and demon emperor, the demonic dragon emperor. This title would always belong to a single demon, the ruler of the 72 demon gods, as well as the most powerful existence of the entire demon army. The main reason why, in Xingmo Dalu, humans were always in a vulnerable position was his existence. He was the one that couldn't be defeated, the unequaled representative of supremacy within the demons. From the very first generation of demon god emperors till now, this was the sixth demon god emperor. In his capacity of supreme leader of the demons, he could live for more than 1,000 years. In the human history, except from the time when the sign of samsara appeared, causing the demon emperor's death, the other 5 demon god emperors, without exception, lived until dying of natural death, giving this position to someone of their later generation. And even the demon god emperor, who died from the heavy wounds caused by the sign of samsara died, because he was excessively old and had already passed the pinnacle of his life. The 3 words demon god emperor were in Xingmo Dalu an unequaled symbol of oppression. He was the ruler of the demons, an emblem of all the demons. So long as he would exist, humans would never dare to think of launching a counteroffensive. At the present time, this 6th demon god emperor was already aged and more than 700 years old, entering the most powerful period of his life. Who would have expected him to appear today in front of the Exorcist Mountain Pass? It was no wonder that the demons would come with such a massive army, and that their formation would be so ordered. There was a single reason for this. Their absolute emperor was leading them. Listen, humans of the Exorcist Mountain Pass. Hand over all the creatures possessing 3 heads in your city, or else, not even an inch of grass will be left. A soft and pleasant voice, that could even be described as clear and melodious, as if coming from a chanting dragon, resounded. Exactly in the middle of this dark golden pillar of light, a silhouette slowly emerged. He moved unhurriedly, at a regular pace. Each of his steps steady, as if he was walking on the ground. This pressure reached everyone's innermost being. Confronting this demon god emperor, everyone's fears were aroused from the depths of their hearts. It was just too powerful, to the point that no one could maintain his willpower. Even the powerhouse of the ninth step, Xingyu, was the same. At Long Houchen's side, Kia's body was trembling violently, a faintly discernible killing intent unceasingly emanated from her body. Long Houchen was greatly alarmed, immediately thinking of the reason for it. It was surely that the demon god emperor's aura had stimulated the dagger of samsara in her body. If the demon god emperor discovered the existence of the dagger of samsara, Kia would never be able to contend against him. The Exorcist Mountain Pass is graced with your esteemed presence, demon god emperor. This is truly an honor for our city. After Xingyu took a single step across the wall, he was unexpectedly already in midair. In spite of the fear completely infesting his heart, he did so, because the only one capable of facing the demon god emperor in the entire Exorcist Mountain Pass was him. At the demon god emperor's back, the terrible light pillar reaching 5 kilometers in diameter glinted. The gigantic black dragon sculpture, on it was his figure seen from behind. You are the current chief of the Assassin Temple. Fengxiu's voice was as pleasant as before, without the slightest aggressivity. That is right, this elder's name is Xingyu. At Xingyu's back, an enormous grey dagger glistened, sharp aura bursting forth from it, stopping the aura released by the demon god emperor in their direction. But all the people sideways from him could see that the aura bursting forth from Xingyu only spread to an area of 10 meters. This was how clear the gap between the demon god emperor and him was. You heard my dignified words. As for the matter of eliminating you humans, or not, I am not in a hurry. From my dignified point of view, you are nothing more but livestock I raise. Everything will be done as I said before. If I find the thing I am looking for, I will consider letting your exorcist city off. Xingyu's eyes were filled with an unsettled expression. He was fully aware of how wide the gap existing between the demon god emperor and himself was, but under such circumstances, could they really come to a compromise? At the city walls, at least dozens of looks were focused on Long Houchen. Three-headed creature. Could it be that he is speaking of Long Houchen's mount? But it's only a magical beast of the sixth step. How could it gain the attention of an existence such as the demon god emperor? The demon god emperor displayed a wicked smile. This dignified emperor will give you a time of 10 seconds. If 10 seconds later, I don't have a reply, today will be the last day of your Exorcist Mountain Pass. Suddenly Xingyu was drenched in sweat. He knew that if he fulfilled these terms, he would never be able to stand straight in the Temple Alliance ever again. But if he didn't, the 100,000s of military and civilians, as well as the foundation of the Assassin Temple, would very possibly be wiped out completely. Among the 6 radiances, 2 were golden, 1 was purple, 1 was milky white, and the last 2 were green and red. Their lights reflected each other in the skies, and although it was far from reaching the level of terror of the demon god emperor's demon god pillar, in the instant these 6 radiances soared through the skies, all the terrifying power covering the whole Exorcist city disappeared. Next to the city wall, everyone opened their mouths and gasped for air. At some point, under the Exorcist Mountain Pass main gate, 6 people appeared. Now, these 6 propelled to the sky, surrounded by their respective radiances, and confronting the demon god emperor. Seeing them appear, the demon god emperor stopped in his counting game, his face appearing quite sinister. It looks like you, old guys, are still alive. Do you really believe this emperor won't dare kill you? The demon god emperor declared coldly. In front of him, the aged voice kept speaking, being the first powerhouse under heaven, his majesty will naturally dare. Why would he not? Only, in terms of age, we are far inferior to his majesty. The words old guys are unacceptable. At that time, the 6 silhouettes had already ascended above the city walls, and the earth-shattering oppressive power was immediately blocked. At the night side was a warrior even exceeding him in grandeur. Clad in a blue-violet armor also covering his whole body, he was exceeding 2.2 meters in height, his both shoulders being extremely broad. Even if he was partly hidden by his armor, he could still make anyone feel that his strength was terrifying enough to tear heaven and earth. The weapon in his left hand was an unusual bloody red axe, while the one in his right hand was an enormous blue-violet axe. If someone was to describe the impression this appearance gave him, the word intrepid would be the most suitable. On the other side of the knight was an erratic black-colored silhouette, whose shape could not be seen clearly at all. But it gave a specially sinister and sharp impression. The air surrounding his radiance was continuously being filled with black cracks. These 6 were arranged in a double-rowed formation, composed of 3 of them in the front and the other 3 in the rear. To one's surprise, the 3 people in the rear were all women, which could be recognized from the clothes they wore, though they were clad in magical cloaks, making their appearance indistinct. The woman in the middle, clad in a pure white gown, wore the design of a 2-winged golden angel on the back of her gown. A gown of prodige, this saint robe, was the symbol of the most supreme priests. The current Supreme Pontiff was attired in this way, and compared to this woman, the Supreme Pontiff could only be said to have a royal crown in addition and nothing more. In her hands, this saint held an enormous scepter of more than 3 meters length. It looked just like the branch of a tree, but it really was a pure white, jade-like scepter. On it grew 2 mild golden-colored fruits. On the other side of the saint was another woman, clad in a blue robe. At her back, a blue glitter was faintly discernible. And in the surroundings of her body, a golden door-sized gate was releasing a fantastic brilliance. A spiritual master, connected with countless planes. After reaching the 9th step, this was the most mysterious vocation within the 6 great temples, and the most unpredictable kind of powerhouse. The ones that were rising to the sky, confronting the demon god emperor, were unexpectedly 6 powerhouses of the 9th step. The people in the Exorcist Mountain Pass, that had previously been suppressed to the extent they couldn't even breathe immediately, had a good momentum. Xingyu hovered to their side, his eyes carrying a bewildered expression. You are the demon god slayers, so the rumors were true, you were actually still alive. The spiritual master, clad in a dazzling blue robe, turned her head to give Xingyu a glance, asking with a smile, young man, if we really died, how could the demon god emperor possibly stay so silent? The demon god emperor snorted coldly. Do you have the determination to confront this emperor today? The knight's aged voice sounded once again, as he replied unenthusiastically, we naturally don't wish for it. After all, we don't have the certainty that we will be able to kill your majesty, but your majesty should also be clear about the fact we have at least a 20% chance to take your majesty out with us, and a 30% chance to inflict you serious damage. If your majesty has the resolve to wipe our Exorcist Mountain out, we humans won't hesitate to unleash the 1,000 years of power we saved, letting a holy war against demons unfold. And you, demons, won't necessarily be the final victors of it. 20% certainty to take the demon god emperor down by themselves. This number sounded simply excessively weak. But hearing it, the officers and soldiers of the Exorcist Mountain Pass were shaken excessively. What kind of existence was the demon god emperor? That was their undefeatable enemy, but the 6 human powerhouses before their eyes actually had odds to take him down by themselves. They could only be incredibly strong. The demon god emperor's voice was calm and clearly cold, but listening to him, the 6 human powerhouses felt greatly shaken. Compared to the demon god emperor, who felt some restraining fear towards them, they felt at least 10 times more afraid of him. Among humans, they were the only ones who could possibly contend against the demon god emperor at the present time. In case they died in the Exorcist Mountain Pass, without inflicting the demon god emperor serious damage, no human at the mountain passes would possibly be able to block the demon chief's offense. Truly an ending benefiting none of the 2 sides. Humans and demons were both unwilling to see it come to this. It would just end up as a war until total extermination of one of the 2 sides. The 6 human powerhouses became silent. A faint golden radiance spread around the knight's body, enveloping the 6 of them in it as if they were planning on discussing the situation among themselves. A short time later, the knight acting as their head replied to him, okay, please search for it, your majesty. We won't block you no matter what. They didn't know what the demon god emperor was looking for, but if the Exorcist Mountain Pass really had this thing he was looking for, it wouldn't be too late to decide whether to hand it over to him or not. Conversely, if the demon god emperor didn't find anything, the danger confronting them would naturally be settled without a fight. No other humans understood the demon god emperor better than them. This demon emperor attached at least some importance to his reputation. He would never bear to let his dignity be offended. The demon god emperor snorted coldly, and a moment later, the black in the skies spread again. The whole sky above the Exorcist Mountain turned black, and shapeless fluctuations of mental force arose abruptly, covering each corner of the Exorcist Mountain pass, like gusts of rain. Long Houchen immediately felt as if he had been enveloped in a boundless ocean, as if that massive mental force was breaking him open. In the middle of this huge and boundless energy, he felt as if he was disappearing. And everyone else felt similarly as Long Houchen, their faces turning pale. This was the frightening level the strength of his mental energy reached. Suddenly, Long Houchen felt his entire body lighting up, and immediately, his 3,000 units of internal energy flowed out madly, following a strange orbit. On his forehead, a trace of light appeared vaguely. It was not a purple one, but rather a golden one. The attention of the people around was focused on the demon god Emperor, and the 6 humans, so naturally, no one paid attention to this change on Long Houchen's body. But Long Houchen's face changed greatly. He could feel that it was precisely Hao Yue who was borrowing his force. Thinking of the fact the demon god Emperor was looking for a 3-headed magical beast, Long Houchen felt secretly overwhelmed with horror. Could it be that this demon ruler is really looking for Hao Yue? Living quarters. At some point, Hao Yue had opened his 6 eyes, his aura restrained to the limit. Little Flames and Little Green's 2 heads were still lying down, while Little Light had lifted his head. His eyes glimmered with golden color. If someone was looking carefully at this scene, he would notice that the holy aura surrounding him was exactly the same as Long Houchen's. Not only that, but the scales on Hao Yue's body were covered with golden light, just as if his whole body changed color. If Long Houchen was there, he would surely guess that the current Hao Yue was borrowing the light energy coming from inside of Long Houchen's body to mask his own aura. He was in fact an existence coming from another world, and at the time he crossed over, he passed through a baptism with the holy aura contained in Long Houchen's blood, therefore, the blood of the Sign of Light had already become a part of him. And just now, he was cleverly using this part of his blood vessels to arouse this power, temporarily making it his own to mask his own aura completely. The demon god Emperor was still quietly flying in mid-air, and gradually, his eyes flashed in different colors, sweeping over the direction of the Exorcist city. Half an hour already passed, and for both the human and the demon side, this half hour was far from being a time of pleasure. One side was ready to attack at any time, while the other one was prepared for the start of a bloody battle. They were just waiting calmly for the result to appear. The demon god Emperor suddenly revealed a brazen smile. Actually, I don't really want you to die. In this world, if we don't have a worthy enemy, wouldn't life be dull? This Emperor might tell you that as well, but in fact, you have only 5% odds to take me down by yourselves. This is because, among demon god emperors, this emperor is the 3rd one to have broken through the 1 millionth spiritual energy level, and the youngest one to have reached this level. Is the realm of the 1 millionth level something you are possibly able to contend against? Then, farewell. The demon god Emperor revealed a tranquil smile, his demonic smile staying in everyone's minds. Next, the black gown-clad Emperor suddenly turned around and left, disappearing in this dark golden brilliance. These 6 were clearly led by the knight, who gave him an indifferent reply, no need. We still have to follow the demon god Emperor's movements, so as to ensure he doesn't use some tricks. I heard that the newly formed demon hunt squads train in the Exorcist city right now. Yes. Xing Yu hurried to reply. He was a powerhouse of the 9th step as well, but he still acted extremely respectfully towards those almighty people, following the etiquette of a devoted disciple. Xing Yu. So you, the aged knight's voice could suddenly not be heard anymore. As Xing Yu nodded, confronting him face to face. A moment later, the 6 silhouettes turned into 6 rays of light, soaring to the skies and immediately disappearing from his line of sight. Still in front of the city gate tower, Xing Yu unexpectedly kneeled down, declaring loudly, respects to you, demon god slayers. Without any need to instruct them to do so, all the officers and soldiers in the city kneeled down as well, declaring in loud voices, respects to you, demon god slayers. They were clear about the fact that if not for these 6 almighty humans' appearance, they would probably not have made it back safely. Demons sighed. Feng Xiu floated calmly in mid-air. At that moment, the massive demon god pillar wasn't at his back, and his appearance really resembled a human's. Alosa, Zagan, and Seer bowed before him. These 3 great demon gods' bodies were somewhat shivering, and it was obvious that they were quite nervous, even afraid. Your Majesty, we really felt his aura. And that's why please give me your punishment, your majesty. Alossa was after all the highest-ranked demon god out of those three, so he summoned up the entirety of his courage to declare this. Even among the demon gods, the differences in ranking would also imply extreme differences in terms of strength. If Fengxiu wanted to kill those three, it wouldn't be harder than to trample a few ants. More importantly, the demon god emperor was the symbol of the demons that could be considered to personate their whole race. His words were for demons' absolute rules: we shall go. A few years later, let's look for this interesting guy. This time, those 6 annoying guys have been a hindrance once again, but their vital forces turned out to grow weaker and weaker. For how long will they be able to persevere? 5 years, or 10? Then, humans will finally become dust below my feet. Treading on the emptiness, the sky suddenly dulled, and in the air, an earth-shattering enormous dragon twinkled. In the next instant, the demon god emperor was gone. The first soldier-ranked demon hunt squad, and all the others returned to their respective living quarters. As he walked, Lin Shan patted his own chest. I've really been scared to death, just now. That was the demon god emperor. So frightening. Is it really a level humans can reach? Have you heard about the 1 million levels of spiritual energy? He said he already reached the 1 millionth spiritual energy level. What kind of concept is that? From what I heard, at the 9th step, the most frightening thing is not only the total amount of spiritual energy, but the fact that each attack will directly reach the power of this upper bound. And after a single blow, the user's spiritual energy will immediately return to its peak. So the next attacks will also possess the power of their full spiritual energy. Doesn't this mean that each of the blows of the demon god emperor, who reached the 1 million spiritual energy, will in terms of power reach these 1 million? Okay, stop speaking about it. If you keep going on, you are going to destroy all our confidence. Sima Xian unhappily told him. He was originally extremely satisfied, having just broken through to the 5th step. But just now, he experienced what real almighty power was, immediately feeling as though there was no difference between an ant and himself. Wang Yuan muttered, I'm glad that the demon god emperor wasn't looking for Hao Yue. A 3-headed demon, I just thought, hearing her say this, except from Kia, the others immediately looked at Long Haochen. Ever since coming back from the battlefield, Long Haochen didn't mutter a single word. They knew clearly that if the demon god emperor's goal had been Hao Yue, considering Long Haochen's temper, even with the difference existing between an enemy like the demon god emperor and himself, he would still have fought him, staking his life. Feeling his companion's attentive watch, Long Haochen admitted with a sigh, I can still not confirm that he was actually not looking for Hao Yue. I can still not confirm that he was actually not looking for Hao Yue. Hearing Long Haochen say these words, his companion's expressions became grotesque. Chen Ying'er asked with a curious smile, don't you agree that we should expect a lot from Hao Yue, then? If as a magical beast even the demon god emperor would look personally for, what kind of level could he possibly reach in the future? Wang Yuan nodded, declaring, it's a pity, but if Hao Yue really had been what he was looking for, I'm afraid he wouldn't have managed to escape the demon god emperor's mental probing. So I reckon that it's not the case. Long Haochen didn't tell them about the changes that happened with his own body, because this was Hao Yue's secret. Rapidly, they arrived back at their living quarters. The instant after they pushed the door open, the others didn't have any reaction, but Long Haochen and Xiaoya were immediately shaken, unconsciously taking a few steps back, and not entering directly. It wasn't because they detected any changes in the living quarters at all, but because they felt a sudden chill from their subconscious mind, as if the living quarters before their eyes had turned into an abyss that could engulf everything. The others' reactions weren't slow, and with Long Haochen and Kia's sudden alerts, they stepped back, entering their battle formation. Enter, all of you. Xing Yu's downcast voice rang out from inside, letting Long Haochen loosen his breath. As it turned out, this uncorporeal sense of danger was coming from his great-grandfather. Only, why did he suddenly come to their living quarters? With some hesitation, everyone walked up in a line. Long Haochen's look immediately fell on Hao Yue, who was sleeping in a corner. As before, Hao Yue was lying there as if nothing happened, still deep asleep. Inside of the living quarters were 2 people, Xing Yu, and another middle-aged man in his 30s. At that moment, that middle-aged man was standing at Hao Yue's side, looking at him and revealing a faint smile. But the most astonishing was that Xingyu bent down at his side, extremely respectful. Great-grandfather. Seeing Xingyu, Long Haochen hurried to give his salutations. The others who followed him also paid respects to this head of the assassin temple. Xingyu waved his hand to them, hinting them to wait a moment. That middle-aged man slowly turned around, directly looking at Long Haochen. Hello, young people from the 1st Soldier Grade Squad. As this middle-aged man only said a few things, the expressions of Long Haochen's group of 7 immediately changed. It was because they had heard this voice before. It was precisely the aged voice of the demon god Slayer Knight, clad in an orange armor. For a moment, Long Haochen's group of 7 was completely stupefied. No matter what, they just couldn't think of any reason why this great character would come to their living quarters. The middle-aged man revealed a faint smile. Didn't expect me to come. Actually, this time, it was for 2 reasons that I came. The first one was the demon god emperor's move, and you are the second one. Everyone felt fuzzy-headed. This legendary and almighty hero came for them. Long Haochen couldn't help but ask, Senior, so you are? The middle-aged man revealed a smile. Let me introduce myself. My name is Chen Zidian, leader of the demon god Slayer's Demon Hunt Squad, and Guardian Knight. The name Chen Zidian felt unfamiliar to Long Haochen's group, but the words Demon God Slayers added to Demon Hunt Squad caused Long Haochen's group of 7 to open their eyes wide. Those 6 almighty characters that appeared just now were actually a Demon Hunt Squad. Seeing the changes in these children's expression, Chen Zidian declared, 312 years ago, before the Demon God Slayer's birth, we were just like you, possessing the title of 1st Soldier Grade Squad. I can still remember it clearly. At that time, I was 17 years old, as I became the captain of the 1st Demon Hunt Squad. And since then, a very long time passed. Today, I am 329 years old, and can already not be called young anymore. But I am not willing to be buried before taking care of my responsibilities. Human life will lengthen together with the increase of one's spiritual energy. With a spiritual energy, at the 10,000th level one can live for 100 years under normal circumstances. In case he reaches the 9th step, his spiritual energy breaking through the 100,000, he will be able to live for 200 years. But we have already lived for more than 300 years, and humans' lifespans can in the end not last for as long as those demon gods. We already reached the last years of our lives. At most, we can live for roughly 5 more years. The youths belonging to the 1st Demon Hunt Squad listened to this legendary powerhouse's talk. He spoke pretty naturally, as if he was talking about the most trivial things. But including Caia, Long Haochen's 7 were full of respect. A Demon Hunt Squad with a career of 312 years. This implied that these demon god slayers resisted the demons for a total of 312 years. This kind of accomplishment, what kind of investment did it imply? They simply devoted their whole life to humanity. You're Long Haochen. Chen Ziding's look fell on Long Haochen. Yes, Senior. Long Haochen bowed respectfully. Chen Zidian nodded and said, at that time, your father was a good candidate. But unfortunately, he had some flaws in his disposition. He was excessively dogmatic, and didn't have enough foresight, putting all his energy in improving his own capability. Even though his strength was formidable enough, he couldn't be called an outstanding team leader. Within the 1st Demon Hunt Squad, few would speak of their own families. Only Caia and Hanyu knew of Long Haochen's background, but at the same time they didn't really know about their other teammates' backgrounds. Still even, among the 2 of them, only Caia was knowledgeable about Long Haochen's past, whereas Hanyu only knew some bits of it. At this moment, hearing an almighty hero like Chen Zidian mention the strength of Long Haochen's father, describing him as formidable enough, every other member of the 1st Demon Hunt Squad was impressed. In fact, since Long Haochen was only a little more than 10 years old, how old could his father be? For him to have been called formidable by this almighty elder, perhaps he was a powerhouse of the 9th step. And as for the powerhouses of the 9th step of the Night Temple, Chen Zidian's deep glance suddenly became more intense, his pure and limpid eyes giving him shivers. In the depths of his soul, heroes are born from the hands of fate, everything going accordingly to the will of heavens. Many years ago, I met Xingyu, who told me about you. For this reason, I recently paid attention to your Demon Hunt Squad's performance. You did pretty well, all of you are outstanding youngsters. And all of you have a glorious heritage, All of the youths who came out this year are pretty good. But without doubt, you are the ones who possess the greatest potential. I hope that one day, you will be able to lead your team to take over our position. As Chen Zixuan said these words, his tone was extremely sincere. As for these 7 members of the first Demon Hunt squads, they felt as if they had just been ignited by violent surges of light and flame. Even Cai's face looked a bit excited. At this point, Chen Zidian almost seemed to be in an excited mood. Children, you now have boundless opportunities. But the process of growing up is essential, and during this process, you will only be able to rely on yourselves. Only by relying on your own efforts will you obtain real strength. I wish that one day, you will be able to inherit the title of Demon God Slayers, take over our position, and even do better than us. Hao-Chen, is it your magical beast companion that the Demon God Emperor searched for? Chen Zidian's look shifted to the other side, in the direction of the deeply sleeping Hao Yue. Long Hao-Chen didn't dare hide it, unfolding the situation. It is highly possible, but I don't dare to be sure of it. Chen Zidian's eyes flashed. I also reckon it as highly possible. From my investigation, you completed a blood contract with him at the time you went to the Knights Saint Mountain. Since this is the case, until you two are powerful enough, don't let him appear in places where the Demon God Emperor could learn of his existence. He just managed to conceal himself from the Demon God Emperor, so he should be able to keep doing so in the future. Humans need a hero like the Scion of Samsara of that time. Long Hao-Chen's group had learned about these matters before, and Han Yu, who had a good understanding of the situation, blurted out almost unconsciously, "It is because of the Demon God Pillars." Chen Zidian nodded in response, "Correct, it is precisely because of the Demon God Pillars. To the demon race, Demon God's pillars are divine artifacts. The 72 demon gods possess 72 of these divine artifacts. As long as the Demon God Pillars exist, even if a demon god dies, their lineage can still be carried on as before. Thus, there is only one way to truly kill the demon gods, which is to destroy their Demon God Pillars at the same time they are killed." Long Hao-Chen asked, "Senior, since Demon God Pillars are the demon god's divine artifacts, what level does a piece of equipment need to reach to destroy it? Does it need to be another divine artifact?" Chen Zidian shook his head and replied, "The 72 divine god pillars are collectively known as demonic divine artifacts. Their ranking is the same as that of the demon gods, so differences of power exist between them. And even to destroy the weakest demon god pillar, you will need at the very least a piece of epic tier equipment. As a result, the road you have to walk is still long. Otherwise, we could have already destroyed some of the demon god pillars. And there is another thing I have to warn you about." "Yes. Thank you, Senior." Chen Zidian took a deep breath, his gaze growing distant, as he declared in disappointment and frustration, "The 72 demon god pillars are the demon's vital source of power. For each one they lose, the demon's strength will decrease as a whole, and the heritage they obtain as well. I am afraid this is something we are unable to do anymore, but I hope that during your life, you will be able to destroy a few demon god pillars." The Scion of Light and the Saint Daughter of Samsara's joint appearance gave humanity a chance for counterattack in the end. "I look forward to the day you will succeed, Senior." Long Hao-Chen suddenly called out. Chen Zidian gave him a warm look. Long Hao-Chen declared, "Senior, if one day we can really become a titled Demon Hunt squad, will we be able to choose a name for ourselves?" Hao-Chen. At the side, Xingyu couldn't help but shout at him. What kind of honor did the Demon God Slayers hold for the whole of humanity? And he actually declined such an honor being passed to him. Everyone in the first Demon Hunt squad also felt stunned. Chen Zidian waved his hands to Xingyu, then, "Which title would you wish for your Demon Hunt squad to possess in the future?" After muttering to himself irresolutely, Long Hao-Chen raised his head, persistence and resolution appearing in his eyes. "I hope that our Demon Hunt squad can be called Bright Rays of Sunlight." This video will end here. Thank you for watching.